morning and welcome to the Notts Golf Club at Hollinwell, just north of Nottingham. This championship has a marvellous trophy on display here. This is it. This is what the winner will take away later today. This is the figure of young Tom Morris, a legendary figure in golf, who won the Open Championship at St Andrews four times in the 1860s and 70s, and then died at the age of 24. It's said of a broken heart, because his young wife had died just a few months earlier. And that little statuette and a first prize of £11,660 and a place in next month's World Match Play Championship at Wentworth, all these are at stake today and will be taken away by the winner here this afternoon. Now, Hollinwell is certainly one of the finest inland courses in Britain. There's the clubhouse. This club is almost 100 years old. In fact, will celebrate its centenary in just 5 years' time. Splendid course and not easy. It's over 7,000 yards, par 72, but because of the long dry spell, the fairways are hard, and the scores here this week have been surprisingly low, surprised a lot of people, and yet it is not an easy course by anybody's standards. Let's just have a look and see who are the people who've been putting in these low scores. And of course, leading the way is Britain's Nick Faldo, 15 under par now for the 3 rounds played, and starts today, a little later on this morning, with a 4-stroke lead over the rest of the field. Manuel Calero is his nearest challenger, the young Spaniard, and then all sharing third place, Eamon Darcy of Ireland, Jose Maria Canizares, another Spaniard, and the South African John Bland. Let's go down a little further on the leaderboard. And there we see people who are not too far off the lead, including Brian Waits, 5 under par. He, of course, is the professional at this club. And Brian himself said to me this morning that he felt if we'd had a bit of wind or perhaps a lot of rain, the whole thing might have been different, and we wouldn't have seen the rash of birdies that we've had over the past 3 days. And Brian Waits is due to tee off in just a few moments' time, 12:05 to be exact. And there is the first tee. And so we've got a marvellous day in prospect. The weather today is certainly, it's cooled down a good deal. We've had 3 extraordinary days of Indian summer, but it's overcast today and considerably cooler. Anyway, here's the first tee, and here also is Peter Allis.
Thank you, Harry. Hugh Bioki on the tee. There's a bunker down the right. He looks like a man who may have prodded it in that direction. Perhaps not the best opening drive on a Sunday morning, but I think he may well have escaped that lone bunker up the right-hand side. Now, local pro, and what a famous one too, Brian Waits, 72, 71 and 68 yesterday. Rather like his career in golf, improving all the time. There's that bunker up the right that we saw quite a few in yesterday. This opening hole's only 376 yards and hardly a breath of wind today. And finally, it's Tony Johnston, 72, 67, 71, 210 for 3 rounds and the best score in this threesome. I tell you what, he's not a big man, but he really whips into it there. Like a whipcord, and he gets a nice round of applause, and that's why. Dead centre. Lovely drive from Johnston. Well, Clive Clark is already out there pacing the fairways. Let's hear from Clive.
And Hugh Bioki actually just nipped over the corner of that lone bunker on the right. He's some 10 or 12 yards past, leaving himself a nice shot into the green of about 130 yards. Brian Waits actually played an iron from the tee, pushed it out a little bit. He's in the semi-ref on the right, but lying very cleanly, but has quite a long second shot on this relatively short par 4. He's got about 165 yards to go.
Thank you, Clive. And there you see the view of this first green, rather gentle opening triangle, the opening 3 holes here. But I've just had a nice cup of coffee and something to get us going with Christy O'Connor, who of course won that vast cheque in those days and still pretty big today, £25,000 here in the John Player Classic a few years ago. And he was saying what a splendid golf course this is, and how untypical the conditions are, really, with it being so hard and bouncy, and holes that he and I remember as a drive and a 2-iron or a couple of wooden club shots, now drive and pitch. And he was saying that in the opening round he played with Howard Clark, who hit a drive and an 8-iron onto the 17th hole. This is 480 yards, which is, well, slightly obscene, I think. An opening day, though, the last day rather, is a little misty. There could be a possibility of a drop of rain, I suppose, in the air. It's very still. We have reports that some 20 or 30 miles away from here to the south, around the Leicester area, it's raining considerably, but we've got good crowds here for this last day, and everyone hoping that it's going to be a rather super day's golf.
This is Christy O'Connor Jr. at the second tee. Perfect, they say, and it looks to be, and it is. 430 yards, the second, dog leg from right to left.
First hole and Brian White's second shot. Played well short of that bunker, as you can see. Clive is saying he ironed from the tee, and it's on line, and didn't leap forward. Now next to play, there's Hugh Baiocchi. Very calm day, quite warm. You can see there's the players in shirt sleeves. Now here's Baiocchi, 74, 67, 70. The body very still, just back and through. Again, he gave the impression of somebody that had just pushed it out to the right. And he did. It's on the green, but really he's played many better than that in his day. And now here's Tony Johnson, and looks to be aiming well to the right, doesn't he? Nice balance. And that's a good one. Tony Johnson.
At the second, this is Juan Anglada of Spain, parred the opening hole, and this will be his second shot. He's playing with Bobby Mitchell and Christy O'Connor Jr. Chose to take the narrow drive to try and cut off a piece of the corner, but now he's completely blinded from seeing the green. Well, he had a job getting the blade through that heather, but he has done very well indeed. That's a remarkable shot, almost miraculous. He couldn't see where he was going at all. And now Christie Jr. Christie Sr. was playing here this week, but unfortunately didn't make the cut. And Christie, who birded the first hole, could well do the same here.
Well, we'll leave that nice second shot from O'Connor and go to the first green. Brian Waits has putted down. The local professional has been here quite a number of years now, and it's amazing how his career on the golf course and the playing at the very highest level has developed over the last 5 or 6 years. He's had a marvellous record in this championship. He's won it. He's been runner-up, beaten last year in the playoff with Brian Barnes at the delightful Dalmahoy Golf Club to the west of Edinburgh, and a very good pro who makes the very most of his talents. Hugh Baiocchi, having pushed his little second shot way to the right, has a fairly long putt for a birdie 3. Well, he's got to take a little time to look at this, because it's very important to get a nice putt on the first green, just to roll it up to the hole side. You really don't want too many anxieties on the opening hole. Well, you see, he just left himself one of those, and he knows it too. Now, Tony Johnston from Zimbabwe. Some super golf courses are out there. My brother Alec used to be some 30 years ago, the pro out there in Changa, the days, a great copper belt, lovely course. Now then, here's Johnston for a 3 at the first. Running, no, really not running at it. 4 for Johnston. Mark James now, perched high on the hills at the third, got a birdie at the second. Four under. And will it hold? Well, it just on the very edge. And looks to be lying all right. Leave Mark James and go back to the first, Hugh Baiocchi, with this one for a par 4. Oh, it did. That's all that matters. And Hugh tiptoes away to the second, with a slightly anxious par 4 under his belt.
We'll go up to the second and see just how we get on. Christie O'Connor with a great second shot in. Anglada with a miraculous second shot. This man who impressed us so much at the Hennessy last week. Quite a borrow on the screen. This for a birdie 3. He was on the right line, but he hit it rather firm. Christie O'Connor, who, as I said, birded the first hole. Very good position to make 3 at the second. But back at the tee, Hugh Baiocchi. Appears to be drawing in the air. And that's rather a nice place to be. And now Brian waits. And he, one of the straightest drivers in the game, not the longest by any means, but one of the straightest. And that too, a very good shot. And an excellent shot. O'Connor opens up with 2 birdie threes. And O'Connor started the day at 5 under, so he's now 7 under par. And Tony Johnson, with his mannerisms, you see his reluctance to put the left heel on the ground, and that's his way of getting himself set up properly. And Johnson cutting off as much as it's possible to do and still be on the fairway. A very good drive.
And there's a view of the first tee, and just waiting for Ivor Robson to give the announcement. Sandy Lyle, Ian Mosey and Des Smith. And there's Sandy, who is really one of the great strikers of the ball. He missed 3 tiddling little putts yesterday. Henry Cotton always said you had to will those in. Some people have the magic of knocking them in and making them look as if it's so easy. Eric Brown was one, and Max Faulkner was another. Sandy struggles a bit on those little ones, but a majestic striker. Thumps that one away. Just turns it left, and, well, I don't think there's any real trouble there. Oh, seems to settle. Maybe in a mouse's hole. Ian Mosey next. 69, 72, 69. Good scoring. Having a good season. Iron from the tee. He doesn't want to risk that bunker down the right. That's okay. And finally, the Irishman Des Smith. 71, 71, 68. And Smith, of course, who had, well, a great chance, one must say, at the Open Championship at Royal Troon. For once, his old putter let him down, but he might well have sneaked that championship, but didn't. Very willowy follow through. Like a Robin Hood bow, and just goes past the bunker. So they're all right, but Sandy Lyle may have found an awkward little lie. But as you can see, as we show you the edge of the front of this green, there's really no trouble there waiting for him. So if Lyle has a poorish lie, he should be able to manoeuvre it up and land in front and run it into this first green.
And we look back from the second green to pick up the players. The local pro, Brian Waits, Bayoki, and it's Bayoki to play first. A very simple, elegant swinger of the club, Hugh. Minimum of effort. And the pin in a much kinder place today. Further up the green, it allows the players a bit of maneuverability. Yesterday it was very close behind that sand bunker. And now Waits, who knows this course like the back of his hand. And that's where the locals play it. Up onto the left-hand side and let it kick in, and that's a very good iron shot. And now just let's have a look at the performance of this man and getting himself adjusted to play the shot. See the heel, the left heel, it won't go down. Now that's him behind the ball. That's where he likes to be, behind the shot, ball well forward. And once the ritual's over, he becomes very orthodox indeed and hits a lot of shots like this one.
Back to the first and Ian Moses' second shot. Iron from the tee, so he's a little bit back, 155 yards or so to this green, and big target. Wow, that looked rather strange. And it held on, just got into it a little early, and just opened the blade, just shoved it out. Ended up all right. Des Smith. Oh, good shot.
And Sandy Lyle just in the semi-ref over on the left. There's no real ref that's going to get in his way, and in fact he's hit a very long drive indeed. That one's 290 from the tee, which is the longest I've seen here this morning. There's no real ref in his way, but he's got a rather muddy sort of lie, and I think we're going to see him have to keep his hands fairly well forward with something like a wedge and just push the ball forward. It's only a short shot, about an 80-yard pitch.
Well, there you saw how gently Lyle played that. Now, if that's going to land short, oh, it landed. Oh, well done, well done. Got a nice bit of grip on that. It'll be nice to see Sandy really knocking in some of these putts now, because he does play so many marvellous shots and then dissipates them at an alarming rate on occasions. But, well, he's got a good chance for a 3 at this opening hole.
Up at the second green, Tony Johnson surveying his putt. Lovely hollow that this second green is set into. Robin Hood's Chair, it's called, up there. Very historical part of England, of course. And there you see Robin Hood's Chair and those lovely little outcrops of rocks. The spectators can sit up and enjoy the view. Quite a magnificent setting for a green. And now Johnson, having parred the first, hoping to get a birdie here at the second. He hits a lot of good putts. He makes the ball roll very well indeed. The trouble is, when it gets on a very good green, as this is, it tends to keep on going once it passes the hole. So it'll be Brian Waits, whose second shot came in from the bank towards the back. Waits, too, a very good putter. That's a good pace.
First green, Ian Mosey for a 3. Yes. Iron from the tee, not the most authoritative of second shots. But a beautiful putt and a 3 on the card. Now Smith. Des Smith for his 3. Well, I do believe he's changed his putter. Well, he had that old trusty Wilson putter, one that Lee Trevino, the same sort of putter that Trevino uses for years. Just shows you once the confidence goes, grasp at any little thing to help you. And let's see if this one's going to earn its pay. Well, not bad, but it's a 4 for Smith. Now Sandy Lyle, who doesn't waste much time, has this for a 3. Birdie 3. Oh, unlucky. It was a good putt, though. If he keeps hitting them like that, he must hole a few. So only Mosey, the furthest away on the green, gets a 3.
And Baiocchi at the second with this putt for a 3. Uphill it is. And Johnson, who dropped a shot, unfortunately, Baiocchi gets a par 4.
Now the first tee looking rather resplendent in scarlet. Bernard Langer, 69, 68, and a 72 yesterday, and he seemed to be throwing strokes away like confetti at a wedding yesterday, but such is his temperament and his skill that he keeps it going. Let's hope he's on form today. He's a mighty long hitter. Hello, hello. And he's pulled it. He hasn't tweaked it in there, surely. Yes, there it is, but depends how near he is to that tree, whether he can get a backswing. I think he can squirt it onto the green from there, although he may have the corner of a bunker to negotiate. Now it's Howard Clark. 7 under. Very steady, 69, 70 and 70. He really is a cracking hitter of the ball. Lovely grip. Ideal build for the game. And that was a 3-wood. Now, why he would take a 3-wood, I don't know. Because I think he could certainly reach the right-hand bunker with a 3-wood. And if you're going to risk the right-hand bunker, well, why not take a driver? And finally, Sam Torrance. He's improved dramatically each round. 66 yesterday. Boom. That's a chaser. Torrance, 74, 69 and 66. So if he could do a 63 today, who knows? Oh, and there's the first tee, and the gallery just making its way down. You know, the first, just a straightaway hole. In there you get a good view of that bunker on the right, but you can see there's a fair amount of room down the left-hand side. And after this very dry spell, this lovely Indian summer that we've been having, the rough is very dry. There's no moisture in the ground at all. And there's very little rough.
Now Ian Mosey gets the honour at the second with that birdie at the opening hole, but that looks like a bit of a wicked quick hook. Yes, it is. It's not more than 200 yards, and it's buried into the bunker. So elated one moment and shattered the next. Trying to turn the ball in the air to get it to hook up round the corner. And Sandy Lyle elects to use an iron club. He can run out of fairway at the corner with a wooden one. And that's fine. That'll leave Sandy a shot of about 170 yards. And Smith quite happy to choose a wooden club. And that high flight rather suggested it may have been a number 3 wood rather than a driver.
And there's a view of the first green. And Langer, Clark and Torrance just coming up. And incidentally, yet again, we've had a call in this morning from a Mr. Whittaker wanting to know the origins of these marvellous words, birdie, albatross, eagle, etc. And do you know, Mr. Whittaker, and all of you that have written in over the years, I really don't have the faintest idea. And I've tried to find out. Colonel Bogey. Bogey used to be used, a term that was used regularly many years ago. Colonel Bogey, the dreaded Colonel Bogey. But where birdie, albatross, eagle came from over the years, I really don't know. I've asked many people in high places. They are obviously all to do with the birds of the feathered variety. Albatrosses are rare. Eagles aren't seen all that often. I don't know, but if ever I find out, I'll let you know. Howard Clark. Little pitch now where he's to run. Oh, look at it, just tweaks away. Just went on the ground. You see it tilts a little bit from right to left, and I suspect Howard had a little bit of turn on that, so it was hardly surprising that it went down to the left-hand side of the green. Now Langer, now you can see he's a little bit restricted, got a very lofted club. He'll put his hands forward and he'll just give it a little bump, so he makes that very lofted club into a 9-iron or an 8-iron and just gives it a little wristy thump and hopes that he can just time it right and squirt it forward. Wasn't very far away from the green, and that needs to stop and doesn't. Chased it on, but might have been in a lot worse shape there underneath that tree. And now here's Sam Torrance. Hit a huge drive. That's certainly as far as Sandy Lyle's. He's only, oh, I don't know, more than 70 yards away. And unlucky, got that grip and spin on about the 4th bounce when he just needed it to run forward to the hole.
I'm with Nick Faldo, who's the overnight leader. In fact, is leading by 4 shots, but did a super 65 yesterday. Nick, that must have really been pleasing, and of course we're noticing how many putts you were knocking in there.
Yeah, that's rather nice. To line everything out, everything you face, and then knock it in. It rather a bonus, I think. A couple of them were pushing it, but naturally I'll take those.
Do you think playing in America has helped you with your short game?
Very much so. Obviously, America's more attacking kind of golf, so you have to have a good short game as a backup. If you're going to go for the tight pins, you've got to know in the back of your mind, if you do miss it, knock it in the bunker or leave it on the tight side, you're going to have a sharp short game to keep your score, keep making those pars.
Well, Nick, you're looking very dapper and cool, but there's a lot to play for today with a big first prize, and of course the winner gets into the World Match Play Championship. How does a top player like yourself actually feel at the moment, just 10 minutes or so before you tee off?
Panic stations? No. you really try to put it to the back of your mind and think, well, they've played well for the last 3 days, and no reason why it shouldn't continue for one more, and I'm just going to go out and play the same game and try and go for everything and try and put a good score up there that hopefully nobody better touch.
Well, you're 4 shots ahead of Calero and 6 shots ahead of the next person. What score do you think you might have to do today to win?
Wow, you really can't tell. I think, well, certainly after Cannizzaro's shooting, what, 62 last week, I've got to watch a guy like that. He's somebody who can, if he starts stringing it together. But play it as it comes. I mean, I think the course will probably play a little bit longer today with this heavier atmosphere. So I'm really just going to play for the least score possible.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, back to the first, and Bernard Langer. Now, last night on the putting green, he spent many hours there under the watchful eye of one of the world's great tutors, and we are now going to see, and actually Bernard's never very bad from this range, although that was a little hesitant. He runs them by very close, but well, if he can start popping in 4 and 5 footers with an air of alacrity, I may sign up myself for a few lessons with this great man, but well, I won't disclose his name yet in case the master plan does not work entirely.
Sandy Lyle, second shot, the second hole. And up the members' side.
Howard Clark at the first for a 3. Oh, I say, was a little wayward. And Howard Clark's had, well, a change of putter. He's also had a blade putter for years, which he's wielded very well. But confidence is so much a part of this game.
Now, Des Smith knocked his second shot in here, about 18 feet away at the second, and has this for a birdie 3.
Well, he's distracted. We'll go back to Sam. Oh, Sam.
Now, Des has reorganized himself. A borrow here, a wee bit from right to left. And a wee bit more than he allowed.
Back to Torrance at the first for his par 4. Splendid 66 yesterday. Only bettered by Nick Faldo. The first tee, David Ferty. 70, 68, 70. And in the last but one group, this young Irish player will be hoping to do well today and perhaps learn a little bit more about the intricacies of this game. Now it's John Bland, 64, 71, 72. Might be in there. I believe he was in there yesterday, so Bland's bunker, if he's in it again. Langer, yes, rolled that one in nicely. It starts with a 4. The first tee here's Cannizzaro's. Sparkling end last week. At Ferndown with a 62. He's a man capable of anything. Good straight hitter usually, and can hole a monstrous amount of putts. And, well, misses, as you can see, the fairway, but perfectly all right.
So Bernard Langer, who got away with a rather fortunate 4 at the first, now on the second tee. 430 yards. A wee bit of a dog leg from right to left. If he hits the shot that he hit from the first hole, he'd probably do very well with it here. Well, there's the draw, and hopefully it's not too severe. Come on, bounce a wee bit to the right, and that's very good indeed. And now Howard Clark. Very high shot. Must be a fairway wood rather than a driver. And that is in perfect position. And now Torrance, and you'll see in a moment a bunker up there that is the ideal line. Sam going also with a 3 wood. And he just passes that other ball, and he is perfectly placed too. All 3 with good drives.
And the first hole, and it's actually quite ironical that John Bland, who out of the 3 hit the straightest drive, is possibly in the worst position. He's in the bunker with just over 140 yards to go, but he's right in the middle, a clean lie. And an 8-iron should just about see him home. There's not a tremendously steep lip there. His playing partners are scattered either side of him, both in the rough, but lying quite well.
Thank you, Clive. And, well, what a splendid view you have there of Bland's ball in the bunker. And, as they say, all it needs is a good contact, and it must go straight. But if you just touch the sand a fraction early, she won't go at all. Mustn't touch the sand. Penalty if you do. Nipped it nicely. It appeared a bit of an ugly swing, but I think a rather pretty result. It's all right. He's on the green. Now then, a little knot of spectators over there. There's David Fairty. Incidentally, just take a moment to congratulate Harold Bone, the secretary, and his wife. Ruby wedding today. What about that? All those doubting Thomases 40 years ago. She's far too good for him, they said, and here they are 40 years later, quaffing vast quantities of Wincarnis or something in the clubhouse. Now here's Fairty's little shot from a good lie. And yes, that's nice. Now from the other side of the fairway, from the light rough, Canizares. And this man is capable of some stunning scores. And in not a bad position to attack if Faldo should falter. Look at this one. See, and he's getting a little bit of good fortune. Just gets the right bounce. And a very good chance for a 3.
Howard Clark playing a number 7 number 7 iron. Perhaps it was an 8 iron. But whichever club he chose, he's hit it very well. Distinct chance of a birdie 3 for now. On from the left-hand side, partially blinded, might see the top of the flag, but not the bottom of it. Bernard Langer, a shot of, 140 yards. Very smooth swinger, a little bit on the flat side, tends to sweep it rather than punch it. And another good shot, but didn't quite get the backspin coming as he was from semi-rough. And finally, the big Scot, Sam Torrance, consulting the yardage chart. The whole 430 yards, and Sam, having used a 3-wood, he'll have about 135 yards to go. Probably a number 8 iron for Sam. From this line, he has to come over the corner of the bunker. Sounded a good contact. And he did come over the corner. And a most fortuitous bounce. He knows it too. He didn't deserve that.
Back on the first, and John Bland's third shot. That's a pretty good opening putt from such long range. David Ferty has, well, reasonable chance for a birdie 3. Played very well, 70, 68 and 70 so far. Back on the tee, the final group, and here's Eamon Darcy. A 66 yesterday. Lovely score, same as Sam Torrance, 69, 72, 66. Look at this lovely loose swing. It's an interesting swing, because he's using an iron for safety, trying to avoid that bunker up the right. Good grip. Plenty of movement and rhythm, and gives it a good old cart along. And they don't hit him much straighter than that.
On the tee, Manuel Calero, Spain.
Now the man in second spot, Manuel Calero, 4 behind Nick Faldo. And he's all right. And finally, it'll be Nick Faldo, the championship leader by 4. And I must just dispel a little misprint in the Sunday Mirror today, where it said Faldo, the 256-year-old Ryder Cup player. That's a slight exaggeration. And that's a beauty. Down the left-hand side, and that's a huge drive. And up on the green, Canizares for his birdie 3. No, never had the pace. That's a 4 for Kenny Saris. David Fairty's already putted up just past the hole. That's that little disc you can see just this side of John Bland's ball, so both of them have little putts for their par 4s. John Bland for a par 4. Yes, sir. Fairty gets his 4. And off they go to the second.
Up to the second green, where Sam Torrance, after that very fortunate bounce, has this for a birdie 3. So, fortunate in one way, unfortunate in another. So he remains at 7 under par. Bernard Langer, who we saw through the back with a very difficult downhill putt, and he's done very well to get it as close as this. And at this stage this morning, a little bit testing for the German, trying 1 or 2 little changes. And a 4 for Bernard.
Back to the first, there's Eamon Darcy, and isn't life marvellous? We've had a call from Mr. Kay of Matlock, that delightful part of Derbyshire, saying the origin of the word birdie. And Atlantic City Golf Course, it says a certain Abe Smith in 1899 was playing with his partner, who said, after a special shot, that's a bird of a shot, whatever that may have meant, and they decided on double compensation, and eagle and double eagle followed, albatross, etc. Well, thank you, Mr. Kay. I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but it's interesting. Darcy's little pitch now. More than a pitch. He's short of the bunker and some 150 yards at least from the green.
Just about time to see Darcy's shot here. Oh, what a lovely shot. Well, that's a nice way for us to finish. We have to go now. I hope you've enjoyed this first session. We shall be back at 3:50, and then we shall be on BBC Two to see the climax of this championship.
At 1:55 this afternoon on BBC Two, Rugby Special features South of Scotland against the touring Fijians, plus highlights of the summer tours of Scotland, England and Australia, as well as news and views of the weekend's rugby. That's all at 1:55 on BBC Two. And that's followed at 2:50 by Championship Darts, coverage of the second day of the British Professional Championships from Middlesbrough. On BBC One now, farming.
Good afternoon. It's nearly 3.5 years since Mrs. Thatcher returned from Buckingham Palace to take up residence at number 10 and put names to places around her cabinet table. She chose a farmer, Peter Walker, as Minister of Agriculture, a post he's held ever since. But since the Falklands conflict, there have been persistent rumours about him figuring in a reshuffle. A great weight is placed by some on a couple of cancelled engagements in the Ministerial diary for next month. So, with the political year getting into top gear again in Brussels tomorrow, it seemed like an appropriate moment to reflect on farming progress over 3 years of Toryism. Sue Lawley and I talked to Peter Walker last week, and I wondered if the rumoured shuffle takes place, what would he consider his best achievements as minister?
I suppose in the immediate term that through the worst recession the Western world has had for 50 years, British agriculture has come through that recession pretty strong and rather well. In the longer term, that having had a lead in British agriculture in production, we, during this period, started a period in which we would start to also, I hope, take a lead in marketing. Of course, the two, production and marketing, the two factors in agriculture. We've, long before my time, been very good at the production side, less good at the marketing, and I hope in the longer term, not immediately, it won't happen next month or next year, but perhaps in 5–10 years' time, it will be seen that this was the period in which the big improvement in marketing started.
Well, may I put another point too, that at the outset of this discussion, that to what extent can a Minister of Agriculture anyway take the credit or the blame for what does happen in agricultural policies, because most of the important decisions and policies are shaped as a compromise in Brussels?
Well, I don't think that is the entire story by any means. And for example, one very simple fact is that during the last 3 years, the proportion of the common agricultural budget that came to British farming has doubled. And therefore, even in the Brussels scene, you can make very dramatic differences affecting your own agriculture. And so whilst you're part of that scene, you are negotiating in that scene to see that the requirements of your own farming industry are appropriately looked after and have the appropriate impact upon your agricultural economy. Also, I mean, if you take in this country, I mean, the decisions as far as the considerable additional aid I've given to the hills, the new momentum in marketing, all of these things were decisions that I made which were totally not connected with decisions made in Brussels. And the whole of our ADAS advisory services and matters such that have immense importance to British agriculture, and the plant breeding programs and things such as this are not Brussels decisions, they are the decisions of a British minister.
I've seen it estimated, actually, that for every pound that comes to agricultural support from the central organisations, £2 comes from national sources.
Well, you can't really measure it in that way. You can't measure it in that way, can you? Because, I mean, if you fix a price on a European basis, do you say that's aid or not, you know? I mean, I don't know exactly the proportions varied, but the price fixing is the most important aspect of the European scene. But then, of course, to us, in my lifetime, the creation of a thing like the sheep meat regime of immense importance to British agriculture. And here was a product that we produced more than anybody else in Europe, and we produced a good regime for the British sheep producer.
Well, the problems of getting that regime and then making it work in the way he'd intended have dogged Peter Walker's period as Minister of Agriculture, and early hopes haven't been realised.
Well, I mean, I don't personally see there's any great need for a complicated sheep regime. I mean, the fact is, in Europe, the demand for sheep meat is going to be excessive of the supply for the whole of the foreseeable future, and that's why I don't want to get involved in some complicated regime. And the only necessity for the regime is that the French have avoided complying with the basic terms of the Treaty of Rome on sheep for some period of time, and possibly court decisions are going to end all of that. And they need a cushioning position for going over to open access to their markets.
Their favourite moments in Making Mash this evening at 5 o'clock. Now we continue our sporting afternoon on 2 with international golf. Oh, we're sorry we've lost the sound on our golf for the moment. We hope to bring it to you as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, we'll continue with the pictures.
That's a good shot from Calero. 4 strokes over these closing holes. Well, much can happen, and there's lots of danger lurking. And he's got a chance if he keeps playing shots like that.
Well, good afternoon from the Notts Club at Hollinwell. Sorry we've had a little bit of trouble with the sound, but I gather all is well, and we welcome you to this fine course just outside Nottingham, where we've now reached the final stages of the Haig Whisky Tournament Players' Championship. 72 holes of stroke play, the leaders now on the closing holes. If you remember, when the third round ended last night, Nick Faldo had a 4-stroke lead over the rest of the field, and that is precisely the position he's maintained. His nearest challenger, as you can see from our caption, is Manuel Calero of Spain, with John Bland of South Africa just another stroke behind. And Faldo's played very, very steady golf today. He started the day 15 under, he's now 18 under, so he's 3 under for the day. If he pars in from here, he'll be round in 69, and really, that was always going to be good enough. So there we are, there's the situation. Nick Faldo poised to win his first tournament since May last year. And now, let's hear from Peter Alice.
Thank you, Harry. This is Darcy. Eamon Darcy's 3rd shot at the 14th. Pushed his tee shot away to the right. Played a pretty good second from a bad place to here. This is his 3rd shot, and that looks to be very nicely done, really, and he may still escape with a 4.
Up ahead at the 15th, the par 4, John Bland, his 2nd shot. Going well today. Started at 9 under, now 13. Chance for a birdie.
Back to the 14th and Nick Faldo. Faldo hit a very nice tee shot and an excellent second, and he is not too far away. He's got quite a holeable putt for him. He's been putting beautifully all week. This, well, it must be 7 yards or maybe a bit more, but Faldo's been popping these in with fairly great regularity over the last 3 days. Out in 35, a couple of birdies going out, dropped a stroke at the 8th hole, and he's had 2 birdies on the homeward run so far, and this for another one. He's played with great composure, Faldo, aided, as I say, by a very well-behaved putter this week. Faldo for a 3 at the 14th. This to go 19 under par. And, oh, just fell at the death. But always nice to get the 14th over with a par. And really with the par 5 17th playing so short, there really isn't an awful lot of danger left unless he plays some very destructive shots.
We'll go to the 17th, and here's Hugh Baiocchi, his 3rd shot at this par 5 hole. Having a great day today, Hugh Baiocchi. He's 11 under and a great try for an eagle, and that means he's 6 under today.
14th green. And Calero 14 under par, holding 2nd place. And there it goes, 15 under, but Faldo still 3 ahead. And it's all happening as Darcy repairs his little pitch mark and battles away to get his par 4. Darcy's kept going very nicely too. He's 11 under par. He has to hold this to save dropping a stroke here, but started at 9 under, and he's gone along very well. The feature of today really has been some very good scoring. I must congratulate, well, it almost looks like 80% of the field for getting 70 or less. Some wonderful scores being done. Here's Darcy then for his par 4 at the 14th, and he's got it.
That's close to a woman. He changes into something ugly.
Some people get fever blisters when they're sick. I get a long tail and lizard skin. How come this only shows up when I get horny?
You just hit the mother load, baby. Okay, we're gonna go for it now.
Scott Valentine is my demon lover. Friday at midnight on the Movie Channel.
62 last week at Ferndown. And he stays at 11 under. One of those tied for, well, it would now be 5th place. Lots of very good golf this week on a course that many regard as extremely difficult, certainly to the average weekend golfer, club member, but they seem to be scoring extremely well. Now, John Bland, he has this for a birdie 3, this hole of 440 yards, but in totally calm conditions. Bland reached this with about a drive and an 8-iron. No, not really a very brave attempt, and he will stay at 13 under par.
And on the 18th, we have a little French stray. Quite a few of us know a little bit about them. Off they go, and now he's on the move round the green. And, well, hopefully the owner will appear shortly and rescue this little chap who's obviously a little nervous at losing its master or mistress. Back to the golf.
We'll go back through the haze to the 15th tee, and Eamon Darcy. This is a bit of a dogleg, this hole, from right to left, and the ideal line is hit it down the right-hand side, and provided you can clear the bunker, come down that hill. And all right, well, the rough's not too bad down there when you open up the second shot to the green, and really you've only got about 130, 140 yards to go. So Eamon Darcy just about in the right place, but because he took a bogey 4 at the short 13th, he was last to drive, and Calero and Faldo already gone.
The 18th tee now, Hugh Baiocchi. Twelve under. That's a good shot. Barkey playing with Brian Waits, the home professional, and Tony Johnston. Waits eagled the 17th, went birdie eagle, to suddenly go to 9 under.
Just to check for you on the board, with Calero now just 1 stroke closer to Faldo. He's been there 3 behind once or twice earlier today, but always Faldo has pulled it back to 4. But there we are, 3 under, 4 to play. And, well, it does look like Faldo, but you can never be sure with this game.
And having made their way up to the 16th tee, it's the group of Ferti, Bland and Canizares. And it's John Bland to play his tee shot first. Bland at 13 under. Bland out in 32, which is very good. Birdied the 10th, but dropped a stroke at the 12th. 4 under today. And that gets a nice bounce and kick down the hill and leaves Bland just a short little pitch up to the 16th green. David Ferti. Nine under. Was 11 under after 9 holes, but he's dropped a couple of strokes on the inward 9. Ooh, well, he had a big go at the green or up on the right. He's okay, no harm done. Little awkward second if he's got to go over the bunker, but might have been a lot worse. And finally, Canizares, 10 under, only 1 under. Best he's been today was 11 under. And that'll be fine.
The 15th hole, Nick Faldo over on the right side, just in the semi-rough, but lying quite well, except he's got a bit of a downhill lie here, 170 yards to go, very little breeze, and most enthusiastic gallery.
Clive, he should be able to pitch it up onto the top leg, shouldn't he?
Yes, providing it doesn't fly from there. There's really 2 shots. He could either let it just pitch short in the bank and run up, or if he's adventurous, then pitch it all the way. Probably he'll be hitting a 6-iron.
And of course this green, like several others on this course, cut into the bottom of the Robin Hood Hills, which run all along the north side of this very attractive course, some 15 miles north of Nottingham. Nick Faldo then his second to the 15th.
And he's flown that just a little to the right. Ooh. Oh, and he's stuck right up the hillside there.
Now he can probably see a little more than Clive can, and that really could be in a very awkward position indeed. Depends whether it's gone into one of those little heathery clumps.
Now we're looking up the 18th fairway, the second shot of Hugh Baiocchi. And right on line, but could have done with a little bit more. And the ball by the flag is Brian Waits, who's putting in a tremendous finish to his round.
We'll go back to Calero at the 15th. Second shot. Oh, and that's a very good shot from the man who's as near to Faldo as anyone. And Nick Faldo on this hole has hit the one sort of shot which is the only type of thing which is going to put his challenge for this title under threat.
And a very warm reception for Brian Waits, the home professional, as he comes onto the 18th green, and why not? He birdied the 16th, he got an eagle 3 at the 17th, and he's played the most beautiful long iron to this 18th green, and there he is, no more than, what, 7, maybe 8 feet from the hole. So what a finish. If he can hold this, he'll finish birdie, eagle, birdie. That's 3-3-3, and it just shows you what can happen. So it's possible to pick up umpteen strokes over these last few holes if you just get things going right, and they're certainly going that way for Brian Waits at the moment. He was way back in the pack, and then suddenly a birdie and an eagle, and he's on the leaderboard at 9 under now, but Baiocchi is 12 under. 16th and second shot of John Bland. Little flip up with a lofted club, and that's far too bold unless he gets a big jump back, and he doesn't. You can see the flag's right at the back of the green, not all that far away, but that was just overdone. Up on the hill in the white shirt, that's David Fairty, who has to come down the hill and across the top of that bunker. He's waiting, I think, for Canizares, who's in this bottom right-hand corner, to play his little pitch. And Canizares really, with his immaculate short game, He doesn't really see all the green from here, but, well, you must really, if you're going to be a winner, get down in 2 from here. Should get it within 3 or 4 yards at the most. And he does just that. That's beauty. That's absolute beauty. That's the way you do it. Just pitched and checked a little and eased its way up to the hole. Lovely shot.
And here is Nick Faldo. He's very unlucky with his second shot because he pitched on that bank, and all laws say that you should get a good kick down. He actually kicked further uphill. Now, well, he's not got a particularly good lie, but... And there he is. He's putting his club into that little clump of heather, which... Well, frankly, anything could happen from there. And well, that's not bad. At worst, he's going to lose 1 shot. What you've got to avoid at this stage is dropping 2 or 3.
Hugh Baiocchi, 3rd shot at the 18th. Good pace.
We'll go back to the 15th, and Eamon Darcy, whose second shot we didn't see, but he's hit it to the back of the green and has this downhill long outside chance for a birdie 3. And considering everything, that's not a bad shot. These greens very quick this week. And Eamon Darcy, well, provided he can keep his act together, will ensure himself of a good prize. 11 under at the moment.
Fairly gets a free drop away from that little dish you see there on the right, which is a sprinkler head, water sprinkler head. Got there in 2. Bland it will be first to putt down from the back of the green. Not all that far away from the hole, but you can see he's 3 or 4 yards off the green.
Well, whilst he surveys his shot, we'll go back a hole to the 15th green, Nick Faldo. This to save his par. And the putting stroke is not as good as the one yesterday. But, you know, that's only 1 shot dropped. And the only way he's going to lose this, of course, is to make a complete mess somewhere. I don't think anybody's going to finish with 3 or 4 birdies at this stage.
Brian waits for a 3 at the 18th. Oh, no. Unlucky. So Brian Waits finishes with a 4. It's a birdie, an eagle, and a par finish. And Brian Waits, the home club professional, finishes at a very creditable, indeed, 9 under par. Hugh Baiocchi hold his putt for a splendid 65. 7 under today. Baiocchi, who started at 5 under, ended at 12 under. Very good indeed.
Calero at the 15th, only one with a chance for a birdie. Oh, goodness, well, he certainly had no backswing to that putt and just set the ball rolling, and down the hill it trickled. And, well, he's moved within 2 shots of Faldo, and Faldo, even if he holds this, is going to go back to 17 under. And so there'll only be 1 shot difference, and this is how, a moment ago, he had a lead of 4. But in the meantime, Eamon Darcy. Oh! Well, that wasn't best of strokes, and this man normally a very fine putter. You saw that putt he hold on the last green to save his par, and suddenly he takes 3 here at the 15th. So Eamon Darcy goes back to 10 under, and of course little putts like that cost £1,000 or so a time. And good crowds here again today, and they're now bound to see a very enthralling finish. Faldo. 5 at the 15th, back to 17 under, and only 1 shot ahead of Calero.
You can see what an amazing game golf is. One moment we're talking about Faldo almost certain to win, and the next moment just one green like that, one little error, and suddenly there's only 1 stroke in it with 3 holes to play.
Looking back up from the 16th green, and up there on that little plateau between those tall fir trees is this 16th tee. Interesting little hole, 355 yards. The players just go down in the corner and flip it up onto the green, and it is, as Harry was saying, quite extraordinary. Faldo, seemingly only moments ago, was 4 strokes ahead, and now only 1, and the nerve ends start to get a little bit tense. While they prepare to drive, we'll show you Canizzare's putt at the 16th for a birdie, recorded. And boomed it right into the middle of the hole. Canizzare's, he goes to 11 under. Now, if Calero can do a Brian Waite's finish, 3-3-4, anything might happen. So Calero's tee shot at the 16th is very birdieable hole, and he's flowing along very nicely, Mr. Calero. That's skipping away into the bottom. Oh, a little strong, just into the crowd. Now we'll see the caliber of Faldo here. He's 1 ahead and 3 to play, and well, very easy to drop a stroke or 2 over these final holes. Just needs to keep his composure, and he mustn't finish really worse than 4-4-4, one feels. That's perfect. Oh, that's nearly on. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's a huge shot. He's virtually on the edge of the green, no more than 10 steps off the green. Now, Eamon Darcy trying to rid himself of the thoughts of the 3 putts on the last green. And that should come off the hill, or will it? Struggling a bit, may just get to the edge of the fairway. No. So an awkward little pitch there for Darcy. Faldo with a little pitch from the front of the green. Quite a little awkward one. Very close.
We go go back to the, or forward in fact, to the 17th tee, and John Bland.
The 16th, and Calero over to the left, not lying badly at all in the semi-rough, and I think really, Peter, I'd rather be Calero here, because although he's twice as far away as Nick Faldo, he really has the whole length of the green to play with. He can play almost any sort of shot, whereas Nick's got a very fine little pitch. He's only got about 6 yards of green to work with. He's about 6 feet below the green. Of course, that's going to make it more difficult for him to grip the ball.
Well, there's the ball of Faldo's. That's the bunker that Faldo is just short of, and he's got to just pitch it away to the right. There's Faldo's ball, huge tee shot, and that's the angle. He's almost going sideways at the flag. Darcy's ball is on the bank, and Calero short and in the light rough. And there you see the extent of that bunker in front of this 16th green. And this really is building up into a very good finish. Calero doing some sterling work.
And Calero has, of course, had 4 consecutive threes in the last 4 holes. That's why he's there now. We'll go ahead to the next hole, the 17th. And John Bland. And there you are, even though he was in the rough, and this is a par 5, he's got, well, beyond pin high in 2.
Back to the 16th now, and there's Faldo going away up onto that little hill to have a look at the green. As Clive was saying, there's about 5 or 6 feet difference between the below the bunker and the level of the green. Darcy to play first, standing a little bit below the ball, and he's coming across at fairly steep angle. Just watch the length of his swing here, how he tries to almost lift the ball up in the air, try and get it to land softly. Up she goes. Oh, very good indeed. He really does play that loose-wristed shot very well indeed. Now, Calero. I say, now that has made the job of Mr. Faldo considerably easier. That must have been a funny sort of lie there. He gave that a bit of a quick jerk. Whether he had a little bit of a tuft behind the ball or not, I do not know. But Calero is in the sand, and now with a very awkward shot. And I think if I was Mr. Faldo, I would say, I'd feel about 5 years younger, and I think I would pick a spot 2 or 3 yards left of this pin and just try and get it pin high about 10 or 12 feet, because it'll be after playing that shot, Calero will do very well to get down in 2, because he's got a shot of about 35 yards, steep bank to go over. And Faldo, I think if he can nudge this one up and get a 4, that should just increase his little cushion. He doesn't want to do anything daft here. And in fact, he's just looking to see whose shot it is. The angle, of course, makes it quite difficult. They may send someone to the flag. And would you believe it? I think Calero, it's a funny old game. Calero now playing 3 before Faldo plays his second shot, and not taking very long about it. And you see he's way short. And suddenly, it's all different. A little bit of pressure. Now, Faldo's ball is lying pretty well. It's tight, almost like playing it off well, if not a piece of Wilton, a bit of lino. And he's going to have to just keep his head nice and still and just let the club throw it up to the hole, nice and steady. Nipped it up. Oh, I say, no, that really was dreadful. That really was dreadful. Well, his man is his nearest challenger's miles away. Could have aimed that yards left and got it up within 4 yards or 5 yards of the hole, and he tried to play the two. This is what I continually mean when I say one is always trying to learn how to win. Now, he may, for all we know, hole this next one. It may all be forgotten. But with all the green and the room on the left of this flag, Faldo has committed, well, certainly a minor sin at this moment. Now, this isn't too difficult a bunker shot. You can see that it's a steep bank, but the ball rolled back off the hill, so it's lying cleanly. Oh, that's not too shabby, is it? Thought he might hold it. Oh. What a way to earn a living, my boy. Oh, let me check. The thing is that he's got his 4, but that's a miracle shot that Faldo's played, and I hope he will have someone recording this so he can learn from it as the weeks go by.
Well, Canizar is in the comparative calm of the 17th green, 3rd shot. He's given that a bit of a rush, and a difficult one back.
Back to the 16th green, and Calero for a 4. Well, that's an awkward little one down the hill. That's by no means dead.
On the 17th green, John Bland, or just off it. 3rd shot. This hole, remember, a par 5, so, well, if this went in, it would be an eagle.
Sixteenth green, Eamon Darcy for a 3, and no. I say. Well, they're giving him a fair old run at the hole. And when you get to the closing stages of an event as prestigious as this, Haig Tournament Players Championship, dropped strokes are very costly indeed. I wonder what little minor nightmares Calero will have about that 2nd shot here at the 16th. And that's a 5 for Calero at one of the easiest holes here. And a stroke dropped at a very crucial moment. Darcy, this for a 4, this to stay at 10 under par. Oh, say that's 2 in a row. 2 in a row, the big fella's missed, and that's very costly. Faldo had already tapped in from 4 or 5 inches, so Faldo, with just a couple of holes to go, finds himself with an extra shot in the lead.
Canizares for a birdie at the 17th, par 5. Almost semicircular, that putt, but over borrowed. That'll be a 5 for him. He'll stay at 11 under, which is only 2 under today. Well, the rather surprised leader, at least to have the size of lead he has, and I suppose if some script writer had actually written the history or the story of the 16th green, his producer would have thrown it out of court as being ridiculous. But it does show, however calm, outwardly calm, all these golfers appear, and we've seen many of them over the years move very smoothly to victories by 1 or 2 shots. The pressures are extraordinary and very real. And of course, this being the last of the par 5s, 480 yards, well in reach in 2. And who's to say that after the last hole, Calero couldn't get an eagle 3 here and suddenly be level with Faldo again. But Faldo, his tee shot. Absolutely the perfect side to be. This hole slopes down from right to left. It's a long dog leg, also moving from right to left. Now Calero, got to put the nightmares of the previous hole behind him. Hasn't done so, thunders it into the crowd, which at least stops it going into a bad position, into deep rough, and that will stop in the light rough, and that really is no problem at all. But he won't have hit it very far and maybe struggling to get up in 2. And lastly, the supporting player of this 3-ball, Eamon Darcy. And notice how they all keep it up the right-hand side, rough and bunkers down on the left. Land up ahead, recording his putt for a birdie 4. Oh, and so often we've seen this very talented golfer drop shots on and around the green in the closing moments of a tournament when he's in contention.
So that was recorded. Now that 3-ball has moved to the 18th tee. Final drive for Canizares. 11 under, 2 under today.
Shot. Lovely shot.
No, they don't come much better than that. That's a splendid shot. And that's John Bland's tee shot, also beautifully into position.
And there's Nick Faldo, who, well, he should be breathing a bit more easily than he was 5 or 10 minutes ago. But what about all the people who've backed him at 5-2 and 6-4 and thought they were on a wonderful thing all day today? And I suspect they've been having rather an unpleasant few minutes as well.
Well, Calero's ball lying quite well, but with the slice off the tee, taking a lot of distance off it and also clattering into the crowd, he's hit a very short drive indeed and still finds himself with 290 yards to go. That really does put it out of range because he's got no assistance from what breeze there is. In fact, it's blowing off the left side, and it really looks if he's going to make a 4, he's going to have to make a pitch and putt to do it.
The screen fairly generous, it quite wide and saucer shape, so that if he can really get going, he can expect the ball to roll in towards the pin. But there's a very good picture of the shot he's got left. And with the wind from left to right, as Clive was saying, of course, you're not going to get any assistance from hitting the ball out to the right and bringing it back. And he's hooked it a bit. Short left. And, well, it's all a case of who the pressure affects most, and at the moment it looks as though it gets to Manuel Calero rather than Nick Faldo. So Nick Faldo, who could well have been under very severe pressure indeed had his opponent been competing in the way that many others have been competing. Eamon Darcy then, also from the light rough, second shot at the 17th.
Nick Faldo then, a good tee shot there, leaving himself 210 yards to go. The ball slightly above him in the stance, and he can undoubtedly reach with a long iron. But jolly nice to see Manuel Pinheiro out here supporting Calero. I think that's very nice.
So the leader by 2, and for all weekend golfers, this has to be one of the best rhythms going, a sort of languid elegance about it. And on a Saturday morning, if you can get a mental picture of the rhythm here, you won't go far wrong. Faldo with his second shot to the par 5 17th. Oh, what a really great shot. And one would believe that the crisis has been survived. And with the crowd milling away behind him, I think now we could well be on the celebratory lap.
Well, here's the 18th. Canizares having put a sweater on. Second shot to the 18th. 11 under. And looking a little anxious. Is it drifting to the right? Yes, but it may just hold the green, and it does. Recorded second shot of John Bland just moments ago. And, oh, just missed the bunker. It's all right.
And back to the approaches to the 17th green, Nick Faldo, and of course far more than the 11,600 odd pounds first prize awaiting Nick today if he wins. There's a certain 3,500 for turning up on the first tee at Wentworth next month in the Suntory World Match Play. Possibly, if you get a buy in that event, you get £5,000. Now, Calero, you will remember, was short and left of this 17th green and has played his pitch shot already. Beginning to rush, I suspect, already kicking himself mentally for making a mess of a very fine opportunity to, again, not only win this Tournament Players' Championship, but also get all the awards awaiting the winner, which I was just talking about. now the supporting cast. Eamon Darcy. We've seen one or two players from up here, and there's a very, very big swing on this putt from right to left. Look at that. Look where he started that out. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Delicious touch. And it would be very churlish to say, well, he should have hit it a little bit harder. And that's a birdie 4 for Darcy. And he goes to 10 under. Now it may well be Calero to putt first. So in other words, he's further away in 3 than Faldo is in 2. And the only thing he'll have learnt from Darcy's putt is that the borrow is enormous. About that, eh? Absolutely semicircular. Birdie 4 goes to 16 under, momentarily within 1 shot of Faldo, but one must say that it would be amazing if he didn't pick up at least 1 shot here himself. They're in 2, and this, of course, a par 5. Now this is a far easier putt than either that of Darcy or Calero. It's much straighter. There'll be a little bit of borrow, probably from left to right. But 2 putts really is a formality. With which, I suppose, he'll probably rush it about 4 feet past, miss the one back, and make a fool of myself. Nick Faldo then, this for an eagle 3, the 17th. And the most important thing about that putt was that he's got it absolutely stone dead. Under, and takes a 2-shot lead into the final hole.
So Faldo goes to the 18th tee, and on the 18th green, or just short of it, here's John Bland playing 3. Bland 13 under, 2 putts for 68. And just a little speedy. That's gone 8 feet past. Canizales with a long putt for a 3. 7 threes only today at this 18th hole. Mark Thomas, Bill Longmuir, Michael King, Pip Elson, David Jagger, Sandy Lyle and Bernard Langer. Now, is this going to be one more? Izares will just tap in and back on the tee. Faldo just needs one good clean hit. Quickly back to Jose, who is about to insert, and he does, and finishes at 11 under. So he's had 2 good weeks. Now Faldo on the tee. Keep that rhythm. And when they bend to pick up the tee as speedily as that, it usually means that it's launched in the right direction. There he is. Absolutely dead centre. It would be very difficult to say which side of the fairway that's on. It's absolutely in the middle. Now Calero. Oh, that's never good when the cries of 4 and they're scattered. Oh, he's missed everybody, wide of everyone, way down the player's right. And finally, Eamon Darcy. Looks to be aiming a little right, doesn't he? Swings it down and gets it going down the right-hand side. And has he got a little bit of draw? No, he didn't have. That's hit it exactly where he was aiming. Down the right-hand side. Now John Bland at the 18th. He's putting for 3rd place if he can get this. Outright 3rd on his own, and he takes 5, just underclubbed a little bit with his 2nd shot. And so Bland drops a stroke there, finishes at 12 under. That's very good, a 69 today. There have been a tremendous amount of scores under 70 today. Hugh Baiocchi's 65, the best. 67s from Gary Cullen and Steve Martin. Ken Brown, a nice round from Ken Brown, 67. And the defending champion, Brian Barnes, after opening with a miserable 77, scored 69, 67 and 68. So having been 13 behind the leader after the opening round, he finished at -7 for the championship, and that's very good scoring indeed, apart from that unfortunate hiccup in the first round.
Calero then off to the right on this 18th hole, lying in the rough, and well, perhaps just possible to get it on the green from there, but it'll be a good shot. It's a moderate lie, but he's got 210 yards still to go. Nick Faldo, on the other hand, is a long way down the fairway. Most beautiful drive with 185 yards left to the pin.
And a very good crowd coming down the hill to watch this final 3-ball, play the final hole, and Nick Faldo of Britain, 2 strokes ahead. And of course, not only does he win the very handsome prize here in the Haig Trophy and an invitation into the Suntory, but there's also, he could get into the Lancome tournament as well. So there are a couple of bonuses floating around. The Lancome now is a sort of tournament of champions, one might say, which will be played in Paris in a couple of weeks' time. So the bonuses here for a victory are considerable indeed. There's the 18th green, and a nice view, gently rolling down. Over the years, they've had a marvellous artisan section here, and with the coal fields, coal pits round about, many of the miners in this area have been very enthusiastic golfers. A lot of them very good indeed. Very strong golfing area, this, amongst pitmen, coal workers, and they have been very much to the fore in all these golf courses, Sherwood Forest and here over the years. And they produced some pretty good performers too. There's Calero, who pushed his tee shot away. He's got a straight shot into the green. He's a couple of 100 yards away at least. Well, he's done well, but it pulls up some 30 yards short of the green and perhaps 60 yards from the flag. Still in the rough, just but not lying all that badly. Here's Darcy. Second shot. John Bland in the clubhouse at 12 under. Baiocchi with that 65 today. Charged up the leaderboard. He's 12 under. And it's trouble. Now from absolutely the perfect spot, Nick Faldo, his nearest challenger is some 60 yards from the flag, so one really doesn't anticipate Calera holding out for a 3. I see no ships. There must be down there somewhere. And here he goes. Nice, easy swing. Has he tweaked it a little bit? He's tweaked it a fancy, yeah. Oh, and what a lucky boy. Well, it hit that little, missed all those little children there who've been missed by inches, thank goodness, and just hit that little tree trunk. And there you see, just caressed it back towards the edge of the green. Oh, it might have been my head, mate. I know. So, there he is. That was rather nice indeed. And the members of the local constabulary, nice to see them on parade. They've been giving everyone every assistance here this week. And very good crowds. Of course, yesterday was a beautiful sunny day, and Notts Forest were at home. Nottingham Forest were at home, and they won. So lots of happy locals who support their team were missing yesterday, and a lot of them are here today. And we've had a very comfortable and enjoyable week. And I'm sure the sponsors, Haig's, have been delighted with the turnout and all the facilities here at this excellent club. Who they come, here's Calero, and here's Eamon Darcy, and making his way through, here he comes, Nick Faldo. He probably doesn't know that little bit of good fortune that he had when he hit that tree trunk. It'll be Calero to play his third shot first. There's Calero pitching up, playing a nice lot. Nice looking shot indeed. Calero 16 under, assured of second place. Eamon Darcy now from the sand. Again, watch the length of this swing and the rhythm and how he slides the club under the ball and tries to sort of lift it up and just sort of a light heave up towards the hole. There, up she comes, and rather fortunate to catch the bottom of that hill. It wasn't one of his best, but it might have been lying a bit awkwardly, but he's 10 feet away. Now Nick Faldo from 3 or 4 paces off the green. That's the tree trunk that Faldo's ball ricocheted into. And here's his caddy holds the flag. What a lovely, lovely speed. Oh, it wanders away a bit, but oh no, this win, and I'm sure nothing can stop him now, is going to be worth much gold to this young man. We'll see him at the Suntory World Match Play in 2 or 3 weeks' time at Wentworth, our next event. Hopefully we'll get some of those lovely autumn scenes at Wentworth. Some Craig Stadler, the Masters champion, is appearing. Ray Floyd, we hope. Calvin Peete, maybe. And here's Calero. No, that was wandered away down the right. That's a 5 for Calero, but really that doesn't make any difference. He's finishes at 15 under. That's very good. Assures him of second place. Good playing from Calero. He was 3rd last year, just a stroke behind Barnes and Waits. Anxious faces looking out of the window. They've all enjoyed themselves immensely this week, I'm sure. Looking down on this 18th green. Eamon Darcy putting for a 4. This to stay at 10 under. Nope. So he goes back to 9. He joins Brian Waits. 9 under. Providing this goes in. Des Smith also 9 under. That's in. And now Nick Faldo. Faldo with his putt for a 4. This for a round of 69. This for his 4th round here under 70, and his umpteenth round under par or 70 over the last few weeks. So it'd be nice to finish with this one in. And yes, it did. Looks as if it was going to wriggle. That's great stuff. Away it goes. Faldo wins one. Left it late in 1982. Kept it going very well when things started to get a little bit shaky. He played the right shot at the right time. Calero congratulating him. Darcy as well. And Nick Faldo is the Haig Tournament Players Champion for 1982. We'll see him at the World Match Play Championship. And what a splendid victory. No one will begrudge him that. 69, 67, 65, 69, 18 under par. So that's how they finish. Faldo leading the way by 3 strokes there at 18 under. Manuel Calero 15 under. How well he played. John Bland was going well, just couldn't get those putts in when it really mattered. Hugh Baiocchi a 65 today. Wonderful score from Hugh, the best score of the day. Canizares, well, a good week last week at Ferndown, and again, and a word for Bernard Langer. Finished with a 3, 10 under with all his putting problems. To keep going as well as he did was very good. Home pro, Brian Waits there at 9 under. Sandy Lyle, yet again, right up the frame. And Des Smith and Eamon Darcy, they're all tied at 9 under.
Now let's show you how they've scored throughout this tournament, starting with the first day on the left and working through to today on the right. And there we are. You can look and pick out your own favourites. Tony Jacklin had a nice 70 today, the best round of the week for him. Funnily enough, the early scores today weren't so good, and then we had a rash of very good scores indeed, as you can see now, with all the 67, 68, 69s coming in. Nice to see Roger Davis back with us from Australia, and had a nice 69 today. Michael King, splendid 68. And Steve Martin, the young Scot, 67. They really have scored remarkably well on this quite tough inland course here this week. 69 for Bishop, Simon Bishop. And Neil Coles finishing very steadily as usual with a 68. Ken Brown a 67, and Brian Barnes, who was the defending champion from Dalmahoy last year, 68. Some more still. Dennis Durnian, nice 69. Christy O'Connor Jr., 2 69s back-to-back there on the last 2 days. And a 68 for Brian Waits, the local pro.
Around the 18th green.
And now we're coming into the final batch. Bernhard Langer with playing a superb second to the 18th and just tapping in for a 3. Good finish for him. And you've just been watching these scores we're putting up now. And a win for Nick Faldo by 3 strokes from Manuel Calero of Spain. So there we are. We come to the end of the Haig Whisky Tournament Players' Championship on this magnificent course here at Hollinwell. And it's been a splendid 4 days, and these players really have handled this course superbly well. And of course, I think as Peter was telling you a little earlier, our next and final tournament of the season will be the famous World Match Play Championship, as usual at Wentworth, where it's always been held and which has become one of the great traditional events on the British golfing calendar. And Nick Faldo will be there with a whole host of top stars, and that will be a marvellous occasion. Severiano Ballesteros will be there defending the title he won last year. Greg Norman will be back with us, and many other. Craig Stadler, the US Masters champion, and Raymond Floyd, the US PGA champion. So a marvellous array of stars. Well, there it is. It's time now to say goodbye to you from the Notts Golf Club at Hollinwell. We look forward to meeting you again at Wentworth.
It's your